Malaika, nakupenda malaika.
None of us forgets 1968 and the trauma in the country. It was an awful year to try to start a decent career and help society.
And I saw an ad for Peace Corps and decided I'd rather go to Africa than Vietnam.
My dad was born and raised in Sweden. He said, go to Sweden. I wasn't ready to be a Swede.
Just totaled my stock car and I didn't have money to rebuild it. So maybe the Peace Corps isn't a bad idea.
Most of them had to worry about the draft. Probably an unintended benefit was the talent that you all represented. And the government of Kenya couldn't believe it. We brought in such a talented group. We had 20 degreed engineers.
And here we were, sent to the middle of nowhere to learn Swahili from Kenyans and Tanzanians.
Why Bismarck? Somebody would say, because it's like the Savannah land, it's flat. And I'm thinking, well, okay, that's a reason.
You know, the first day we decided to go to town. And here is this group of Africans. Cars stopped, people got out of their shops. I don't think any of them had seen black people before.
There are rocks that are better at language than I am.
I'm from Brooklyn. I'm from Flatbush. Learned Swahili, milking a cow. Whoever milked a cow from Brooklyn? I milked a cow, you know.
The local girls, they showed up in Daddy's car and cruised around, and they were amazed by us and we were amazed by them.
Yeah, so we all had our Peace Corps boyfriends. I think all of our lives changed because of it. I knew I didn't want to stay in North Dakota anymore.
The training was important because when I got to Kenya, every day involved 20 to 30 miles of driving on these dirt roads.
As part of the Peace Corps training, we had gone out to the Standing Rock Sioux Reservation for, I guess, 2 weeks.
Peace Corps trainees had to have some kind of authentic cross-cultural experience for them to use themselves to kind of judge it, but also for the Peace Corps to be watching you and judging how well you adapted.
I was placed with a couple living pretty close to the poverty line, and boy was this a different community than anything I'd ever experienced.
It might make some people want to leave and say, I can't do this. My attitude was, if I can do this, I can do almost anything.
Did you live with that Indian family comfortably and easily? Did you learn something from it? Were you challenged by anything?
The grandparents had a little black and white TV set, but of course they only spoke Sioux. They didn't speak but 1 or 2 words of English. And what was on that night was the Democratic National Convention. So I'm sitting there with these 2 elderly Sioux Indians watching Mayor Daley and his police batter these young Americans of my cohort. What did they think was happening?
I think we had no idea how many of us they were going to allow to go to Kenya.
For me and for all of us, I think it was a choice of either this or dealing with the draft.
But you felt constantly sort of under the microscope.
I remember at one point somebody told me, you're never going to make it in Kenya. And I ended up 17 years there.
There were 59 of us at the beginning of training, and 51 went to Kenya. The jobs that we were assigned entailed an incredible amount of responsibility for such young, inexperienced people.
I was 19 or 20 years old. I'm over there. We had that 30,000 acres of sugarcane that needed harvested.
In no other alternative universe would I ever get a job like I had in Northeast Province. Suddenly this kid from the plains of eastern New Mexico, here I was running a provincial water department.
Malaika, nakupenda malaika. Malaika, nakupenda malaika.